Should be live. Good evening, everybody. It's 7:30 here in the UK. It's actually 11:30 a.m. in LA. So good morning to everybody who's tuning in from LA as well. For those who don't know me, my name is Ross from Act On This, and this is another live, completely 100% interactive video broadcast that we are doing for you today. If you are watching this live, you'll be on our site right now. It's www.actonthis.tv. If you're watching this as a replay and you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere like that, then get yourself over and join the community. It's 100% free to join and sign up. My guest tonight is one of LA's top acting coaches. If you've read any of his blogs or watched any of his videos on YouTube, you'll know this guy is Mr. Inspiration as well. He's written 2 awesome books, one of which we will be going into, well, in some depth tonight. If you are part of his acting workshops, then you're at the right place. This guy's acting workshop in LA has been voted 4 years on the run, the #1 acting workshop in LA by Backstage.com. I give you Mr. Anthony Meindl. Anthony, welcome to the broadcast.
What's that? Yes. I was hoping you were going to hit that button. Amazing.
There you go. How's LA treating you this morning?
Well, good morning and good evening, right? It's kind of gloomy, as you can see maybe outside. Well, you can't, but you're used to that.
Oh yeah, we're used to that.
You're used to the gloom.
I went to a casting this morning. I had an audition this morning, and it was glorious. The sun was shining, not a problem. I had a white shirt on, white cotton shirt. Literally 3 minutes away from the casting, the heavens opened, the most torrential rain you've ever seen in your life. There was no shelter anywhere. I got there, my shirt was see-through. Might as well not had it on. Horrendous.
Well, it was that kind of an audition.
I know. I thought, you know what? Maybe.
You turned it into that kind of an audition.
Exactly. Well,
and Ross, I think your viewers can see you there. I was like, what? That is, put that up to your head so they see. That is like bigger than Ross's head. That is like,
it's ridiculous.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, normally, you see on these broadcasts, I'll get a Starbucks and I'll just sit here with a Starbucks. But I thought, well, we're going all American tonight. So I put my New York t-shirt on. Don't know if you see that. And I've got a really healthy smoothie just to get in with the LA crowd.
Is there kale in there?
Yes, there is. There actually is. Honestly, I've got this thing called a NutriBullet that everyone's raving about at the moment. And one of the bases of every single smoothie you make is kale and spinach. So there we go.
I don't really do that, but I'm not a big kale person. But God bless the kale eaters, right?
Exactly. It's supposed to be good for you, so I'm having a go at it anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, evening and good morning to everybody watching. The structure of these broadcasts are that, well, basically they're 100% interactive. So if you don't interact with us, it's just not as good. So basically how you interact with us, if you look below this video right now on actonthis.tv, you will see a box that is a Twitter box. You can tweet us questions at any time tonight, and we will address those for you. So that's how you interact. And I'm actually rewarding everybody, not just because we're going to answer your questions, but our friends at Casting Networks UK or Casting Networks Inc. if you're in LA, who actually sponsor these broadcasts. We're going to choose a tweet at random at the end of this, and we're going to give away a 12-month free subscription, all media. It's normally costs you £100 in the UK. Don't know what price it is in LA, but we're going to draw one tweet at random, and we're going to give you a 12-month subscription to Casting Networks. Are you familiar with Casting Networks, Anthony, over in LA?
I'm not.
It's basically, it's like, well, over here we have, so you guys have like things like Actors Access and stuff like that. Yeah, we have something called Spotlight, and Casting Networks. Spotlight. So Casting Networks is the new kid on the block, really. It's particularly big for commercial castings, and we've got some great friends there who will give us a free subscription to one lucky tweeter. I'm going to go through Casting Networks a little bit later in the broadcast. I'm going to demo my profile and show you how it all works. But if you're not on Casting Networks, then sign up now. It's castingnetworks.co.uk if you're in the UK. If you're in America, castingnetworks.com. So start tweeting us just so that I know you can hear us and we're coming through loud and clear. Anthony, whilst people are doing that, I was saying to you just before we started the broadcast that you kind of came up on my radar in about January, February time in the new year. You know, when you start off the new year and you're like, right, this is going to be the year. You know, I'm kind of like, this is the one. And I was reading a blog that you'd wrote. I think it was on Backstage, actually. You write quite a lot for Backstage. Then I started watching your videos, and that's how I then got introduced to the books that you've written. I bought Alphabet Soup for Grown-Ups a couple of weeks ago. This is your second book. I know you've got your first book, which goes into a little bit more in depth. But this was just a really easy read because all your chapters are like 4 pages. So I was like, well, I want to get that one first.
Yeah.
And just tell everybody just a little bit about kind of what you do, your approach to the industry, because it's quite different to a lot of other acting practitioners, and how you got into publishing.
I mean, basically, I feel like the conversation have changed and are changing, and they should change, and they need to change because it's 2015 and it's time to, shift the paradigms for the time we're living in. So what I've been doing for a long time is just, I think, kind of being on the leading edge of talking about acting in a way that's really, it just makes sense, and it's comprehensible, and it's fun, and I don't think acting is that hard. I think what's hard is the stuff that I talk about in my books and my blogs, is that human beings in general, actors specifically, but all human beings struggle with the same stuff. So a lot of my work is about getting us out of our own way and getting us more activated in our lives. So I don't think that, I think just to be going to an acting class is just not, it's kind of missing the mark a little bit. I think you have to be, at least here in LA, but we have a school in London. I have schools all over the world, and I find that you have to be plugged into community, because in community you're kind of held accountable for the things that you want to be doing in your life. So it's not just like a scene study class, or it's just it's so much more than that. I just think acting isn't really about acting anyway. That's
the key is the key. Well, that we're all taught over here is the key to acting is not to act.
That's totally it. If you're acting and we're seeing you acting, you're doing it wrong. So, I think it's just really, it's exciting to talk about it in a way that people really understand, and not put people further in their head. Like what I'm known for, and I see at work, is that, and what the books are all about, is just many different ways to get actors out of their head, because actors, like people, are so in their head to begin with. So you make a choice, or you're in the moment, or you're doing a scene, or you're at an audition, and instead of being fully present and being available to be sort of the channel that you are, or be the gift or expression of what it is that you want to do, you instead are in your left brain hearing dialogues about, is this right? Is it appropriate? Is it too much? Can I do that? And all those things get in your way.
Absolutely. I think what I love about what you do is you really look at acting from like just a human level. So, it's all the stuff that I kind of liken it to, like a musician playing, say you get a great guitarist, okay, and he can pick up any guitar and play a tune on it, and that's absolutely fine. If he gets a guitar that's highly tuned to within an inch of its life and then plays the same tune, it's going to sound so much better. And as actors, all we have really is our minds and and our bodies to a certain extent, but if you fine tune your mind, and your mind's, and you're in peak state, and you're kind of happy with what you're doing, you're not insecure, because acting just taps into everybody's insecurities. It taps into everything that people kind of like would have hang-ups about. But if you can kind of work on yourself, not necessarily just your craft, but work on yourself and tune your mind, then the tune you can play with that mind is so much better than what you'd be able to do if you've got all these hang-ups and you've got all these issues. And that's what really Alphabet Soup for Grown-Ups kind of tackles. It's 26 ways to not worry, says in brackets, really be happy, truly, and get over yourself. And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of actors can get over themselves. That's like the biggest hurdle for them. So we're going to look at a few chapters of this tonight. So just tell us a little bit about the premise behind this book, because it's 26 chapters for a reason that it follows the alphabet. Where did you get the idea for that? Tell us a little bit about it.
I just, like, my first book is called At Left Brain Turn Right, and I guess I just wanted my follow-up book. It kind of came out of my blogs, my video, my vlogs, and my posts online, and they're very short. And I think, I like to think I'm funny.
It is really funny.
You know what I mean?
You put a lot of your own life into the book, which is great. Stuff about dating. It looks like you have a lot of fun with that.
Well, I think that's everything. Like, you mentioned the word craft. Like, again, my whole philosophy is that craft of acting, you are the craft. Like, the actor, who you are is craft. Like, your voice, your hopes, your dreams, your challenges.
We're going to look at 3 chapters of Anthony's book tonight. We're going to look at the letters A, O, and T, which obviously are for act on this. I'm now going to share my screen. Are you still there?
I am still here.
And can you see my screen?
I can see your screen now.
Yes, amazing. So there you go. This is honestly, look at my graphics that I've done. I put so much lovely time and effort into this. I'm glad people can see it now. So Here we go. What we were talking about tonight. So alphabet soup for grown-ups. Like I say, 26 ways to not worry, really, be happy truly, and get over yourself finally. So Anthony, the first chapter in the book is titled Ask Different Questions. You do cool rhymes at the start of every chapter as well. Ask different questions if you want a new life, or what you'll end up with are days filled with strife. I've broken this chapter down into 9 segments. I've basically just cut and pasted from your book. But here we go. What I want people to do when you're on Twitter, tweet us what kind of questions you ask yourself on a daily basis, because people genuinely do have overriding questions in their life. I notice there's a lot in life, and a lot of actors that I meet, their questions can be sometimes pretty negative. Things like, am I good enough? Will that ever happen to me? Will I ever get anywhere? Will I get an agent? Will this, that, and the other? Anthony, what sort of questions should people be asking themselves? Just take us through these points here. So it's not mind over matter, it's mind into matter. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I think it comes from a really, the ancient science and philosophy of Buddhism, which is, whatever the mind thinketh, we become. And I really feel like what's exciting and also can be scary for people is to realize if you're constantly thinking about the negative, if you're constantly thinking about what's not working in your life, that's kind of what ends up showing up in your life. And so we have a modicum of control of choosing to think different thoughts. I mean, we just need to learn how to choose differently. It's the only reason why we're addicted to the way that we think about ourselves is because it's conditioned. So we've been telling ourselves certain, a belief is just a habit of thought. And then it becomes a belief because you think it over and over again. But oftentimes we don't even examine whether or not it's truthful. So a lot of the work that I'm helping actors and people do is examining where do these originating thoughts come from, and do they serve us anymore? And so, mind over matter is not nearly as interesting to me as mind into matter, meaning, as you constantly obsess and think about things, you constantly see examples of that showing up in your life. So I think all of these, I mean, your 3 points here are all connected, which is, I think the dialogue we need to start having with ourselves are dialogues that are more expansive, that lead more to better questions about possibility, rather, they're open questions rather than closed systems. So
absolutely, got a few examples here. So instead of, who am I to do that? Try, how can I best share my unique gifts with the world? How can I have more fun? This is an interesting one. Absolutely. People don't think they really have a choice in life, and I see a lot of people just playing the victim. And
the victim card. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, I couldn't do that. That guy was lucky, or, I've not got the money to do that, or I've not got this, I've not got that. People don't realize actually just how much choice they do have in life, and just, how empowered they are to make positive choices, and to go out and actually do the things that they want. What do you sort of reckon about that?
Well, I also think like everybody, we all have a story, and our story is it's counterintuitive, because our story is what makes us who we are. It's the stuff that we've gotten through and survived, and has created our own emotional imprint, and that's what we have as creators and as artists and as actors. But oftentimes we stop at the story. So our story becomes sort of the leading principle of our own lives. And people get so stuck in, the things that don't work in their story. And first of all, nobody wants to hear about that. Like, I want to hang out with people that are inspiring me to get beyond my fears and beyond, my stories that I have about myself. They're not true.
Yeah.
So I think something I lectured on last night is, I think oftentimes when we desire something, immediately when we desire something, what happens along with a representation of where our own self-worth and self-value lie. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah. So no, absolutely. I think, you really do get what you ask for in life, and the more you ask for, the more you will get. I think you get what you focus on. And I know a lot of people who will only focus on the negative things, and they almost attract that kind of into your life. I know that, there's a book I was reading the other day that was really cool, that talks about something called the reticular activating system in your mind, RAS for short. And that basically says that, when you are tuned into one thing. So for instance, like, back in the day when I was a bit younger and I would go out, I would spend quite a bit of money on clothes and stuff. And I might buy a new shirt for a Friday night, go out to the club, and, might be 400 people in that club. I would see the one other guy in that club wearing my shirt, out of those 400 people. And that's because I was tuned into it. Or for those who are thinking about buying a new car and you're going, okay, well, I'm thinking about buying a BMW, you suddenly see lots of BMWs on the road, so if you're constantly tuned into the negative things, all you're really going to see around you is the negative stuff. Where if you're tuned into possibility and the belief that you are entitled to stuff and you can go out and get stuff, then you're going to just see opportunities that otherwise I think would pass you by. And you say here in this point here, number 7, sometimes I just encourage people to simply fake it until they make it. That might seem weird at first, but if you start to really fake believe or wait at something, eventually that shadow of a belief will start to become real.
Yeah, I mean, I think all these things we're talking about, it's not The Secret or, these airy-fairy
No, it's not wishing for stuff. I don't think you can wish yourself better.
It's actually, there's a lot of science. There's a lot of science that backs all of this stuff up. And, to me, a lot of it comes from meditation principles or, principles that spiritual teachers have been teaching for a long time that now brain science supports. So, just with this fake it until you make it, they've done studies that, one of the things that are, and I talk about it in the book, is that if you, let's say as an actor, you start to make a face, I don't know, is the camera on you or is it on me? I don't know. But like right now, I'm making this like an ugly face cry, right?
Oh, let's get the camera on you.
No, don't be on me. No.
On the slide.
No, don't be on me. Stay on the slide. No, God, no. My point is if I'm making an ugly face and I'm really starting to commit to that, my body is going to have a chemical reaction that releases endorphins that matches what the face part is generating in feeling. So even though it starts as a fake, it actually becomes a real thing in your own system. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yes.
So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching is, I don't think nobody has it figured out. Nobody does. And I think everybody is doing a healthy sense of faking it on a daily basis because everything is sort of trial and error, things don't work out, things fall apart, and then they come back together again. And I think within that, you have to just keep showing up to life. And then as you keep pushing your way through, you look back and you realize, oh my God, I'm actually living these things that I wasn't even sure that I believed were possible for me. So I don't even worry so much about belief all the time. You don't have to always believe it. Who cares? You have to just keep taking steps forward. That's the most important thing.
So, no, absolutely. I think the whole, have you ever, I've done this before, and I think this kind of ties in a little bit to it. Have you ever sort of told a lie to the point where you've told it so much that you've convinced yourself that it's true?
Well, look at Lance Armstrong. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
I'm not condemning him or, I haven't walked in his shoes, but my point is I think at some point when you get so embellished in a story, it feels very real to you. So I think the point about this whole chapter we're talking about is you have to change the stories that are not serving you. You have to really be a detective in your own life and look at what's the payoff. A lot of times we tell ourselves stories because there's a payoff in it. You have friends or family members who support you in being a victim, or you can validate yourself in not getting what you want. It becomes a self-fulfilling circle in a way. Like if you keep telling yourself you don't deserve something and then you keep getting close to something, but it never works your way, that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So you have to break those patterns. You just have to break them.
Definitely. And just keep asking better questions. If you want a better life, you've got to keep asking better questions. Like we've got in that slide there, if someone can scale Mount Everest, why can't you? If someone else is doing great with a business or they've got an idea. I meet a lot of actors, who are actually, I think will make pretty good business people as well because they're creative. But
they're very creative.
They don't put that into practice because it's like, oh, well, I'm an actor, I'm not a businessman. And it's like, well, I think you could, maybe if you asked a better question and, you wanted it a bit more, you could probably do quite well. We don't have Honey Boo Boo in this country, but I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, I mean, seriously, look at some of the things you see and you're like, well, that person's doing it. Why can't I? Of course you can.
Honestly, well, we've had such a kind of an overkill of reality TV in the UK. I guess you guys have probably got it as well with the Kardashians and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We had something called The Only Way is Essex. I don't know if you've seen that or heard of that. Towie, they call it. It's
Okay.
basically just what they call scripted reality. So it's reality TV with normal people, not necessarily actors, but they put them in situations that makes it very, very much kind of controllable. And it's all just scandal, guys with girls, and this, all this sort of stuff. And that's kind of really taken over the industry. And you're going, these guys are making millions. There's a guy called Mark Wright who's then gone into presenting off the back of it. Probably no doubt, as they all do, decide they're going to be actors at some point, and they're making millions of pounds. And you're going, wow, these people who, I don't want to call them talentless, but they're not trained in this industry at all. They don't really have that much to offer, bar they might look good. If they can do it, what's stopping anybody else from going out there and doing it?
I think if I can interject, I think it speaks to the point you were saying about how actors have a lot of other talents. And I think the problem, partly, I think this is what's been taught to actors for a long time, and I'm all about breaking these myths surrounding acting, is that actors think all they can do is act, and that they think that their only way into acting is a traditional approach. It's just, I don't begrudge anybody who has their own reality show, even if they're not necessarily quote unquote talented. To me, that speaks to the democratization that is occurring in the entertainment world, that anybody can create something that all of a sudden can become a hit or popular, and then you can sort of segue that into something else. So actors have to stop seeing themselves only as being able to tell other people's stories. You can write, you can direct, you can produce, you can create, you can be an entrepreneur. You can, I think that that's one thing where actors get really stuck, is that they only see themselves as sort of like, that they're in a service industry, and that they just provide a service as showing up to an audition. Well, that's just one way. Yeah. I mean, I actually find that many people can break through in a traditional way, like pilot season and booking a pilot, and then that pilot gets picked up and then they're on a series, maybe. But I think there's also just, there's so many actors that have broken through creating their on stuff. So I think you have to be open to finding new avenues to create work.
Definitely. I watched a video that you put on your YouTube channel as well recently, which was saying just that there are so many traditional ways in, that they've always been there into the industry, but now the playing field is so much more level with YouTube, with all these kind of online platforms where distribution is so easy. You don't just have to go down the old traditional routes. If you've got the drive to do it, there's so much more available to you now. You just need to well, it says that on the slide that all begins with posing questions. Just make sure you're asking the right ones.
That's totally it.
It's so that's cool. So that's chapter A, ask. All about asking questions. So like I say, tweet us. If you ask yourself questions that aren't necessarily the best questions, or think about what you could ask yourself. Let us know by the end of the broadcast. One question that you're going to ask yourself from now on that's going to empower you, rather than just sap all the energy from you and sabotage everything that you do. Moving on then to the next chapter. At least the screen sharing is working now. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a bonus. We're doing well. So we're going to move on to chapter O of the book, which is, if I share this, hopefully without breaking everything again, something called Occam's razor. Now, this is something that I had to look up on Wikipedia, because I was like, I was going, what on earth is this? It says Occam's razor, a nifty phrase. Don't jump to silly conclusions.
Do you have me here? I don't see the.
I've got you. Oh, okay. Because I need to share it like that.
I'm really scared. Okay.
How's that now? Is that better? Should just be on the screen.
I don't have it on my screen, but it's okay as long as you can hear me and I don't drop out.
I can hear you, and I've got it on my screen. I'll just stop sharing it and share it again, just in case.
Okay. But as long as you have it, I don't need it, because I know it. But
let's have a look. How's that? Got it now?
There it is.
There you go. Yeah. Come on, Google. You're letting us down tonight. Your servers are supposed to be rock solid.
Google, I know.
So it says, a nifty phrase: don't jump to silly conclusions when the truth might simply amaze.
Yes.
So again, tweet us. Do you often jump to conclusions? I know there's been times in my life when I absolutely have, and I felt so stupid afterwards when actually I found out the real reason for something that hasn't either gone my way or something that I've just initially assumed. So let us know if you fall foul of that as well. So take us through these points here, Auntie. It says most people assume the worst rather than realize the truth. The answer that has the least amount of assumptions is usually the truth, though. Where do we go wrong?
Well, I mean, I think that's the whole thing about Occam's razor, which is, it is a fancy scientific word, but it's just basically where there are many hypotheses, the ones that have the fewest assumptions are the ones that, the one that has the fewest assumptions is the one that should be selected. So I find that we don't do that as human beings, which is really kind of funny, is that you get a text or you text somebody and you don't hear back, and you immediately go to, doom and gloom scenario, worst case thinking, like, oh my God, they don't like me anymore, or I'm never gonna hear from them, or they met somebody else, or we always assume the worst, always. We always jump to a doom and gloom scenario, and we take that brain drain train, next stop, Desperation City, as I always like to say, so, or you go to a casting and you don't hear back. And, the irony is that almost invariably it has nothing to do with you. It really doesn't, but you don't process it that way. So you don't hear back from an audition, and then you immediately think, oh my God, I'm the worst actor ever. It's not going to happen for me. I'm never going to get a job. And those are all assumptions based on, again, a self-dialogue that's been created over time. That's just not, it doesn't serve you, and it's not truthful. So it's really that simple. Is I think the only way you get through that, I mean, we're talking about all that, is not spinning worst case scenarios. Don't create a story that isn't based in truth, is you just breathe. You have to really mindfully breathe. And when you breathe, oh my gosh, you just realize, okay, well, why am I thinking that about myself? That's not verifiable.
It's an utterly false belief, isn't it? Utterly false belief.
Or you know what? It's also, it could be an explanation for what happened, but that's one of many permutations, and I generally find that it isn't the correct one. So I think it's just about being open to, there are other less negative reasons why things don't work out, or why things didn't go our way, but we're preconditioned to not believe that. So, you know what I mean?
There was an awesome, well, let's just have a look actually before I tell the story. Let's have a look at this slide here. So like we said, okay, most people will go, the agent didn't sign me. I suck. I'm rubbish. I'm just no good. You didn't get the recall. We call them recalls in the UK. We didn't get a call back if you're in. You're talentless. You don't pass a job interview. Pretty obvious you failed. You're useless. Really, you've got some cool things there. So the agent didn't sign you because you reminded him of his ex-girlfriend who he's now suing. You didn't get the recall because they already made an offer to someone else, like Channing Tatum. The job interview, well, they consolidated the job into a new position, and it's being handled by a robot in China. There was a great story that someone told me about how they train elephants. Okay, and this kind of ties a little bit into this and shows how false beliefs are made. And what they'll do, I don't know if you've ever been to a circus before, you see these elephants as babies. They will tie a rope round the front leg of an elephant, and then they'll put it on this stick in the ground, basically that's just slightly bigger than the elephant, so that it can't get away. And it'll struggle and it'll struggle and it'll struggle until it eventually gives up, and it goes, you know what, I'm not strong enough. I can't do this. I'm never going to be able to do this. Now, 25 years later, when this elephant is massive and could just easily tear that peg out of the ground that it's attached to, they don't need to put them on any bigger restraints, because in that elephant's mind, it's carried this false belief with it for 25 years that no matter how hard it pulls against this, it can't escape. And I think a lot of people take that through life. So there's been people that I've kind of spoken to, friends and things, who've gone, oh, but when I was at school, I was told this, or when I was 18, I was told this. And these guys are now in their mid-30s, and they still carry this false belief around with them. Because it's just been something that's limited them before in their lives, when really, like I said a minute ago, ask better questions, start, kind of try to justify that to yourself and go, well, for me to believe this, it must mean this, this, and this. And you go, well, that can't be true, because that isn't true. But people do get stuck, in this really limiting belief from stuff that can happen, decades ago, which is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that elephant story is really sad. And I mean, I think that speaks to the power of the mind. And again, that we just have to do, you have to do self-inventory. You have to start taking apart. You have to be, first of all, you have to be aware that you're having those thoughts that get you stuck. And then you have to be brave enough to examine, well, where does that come from? Did I hear a teacher tell me that I took on as my truth, or a parent or somebody on the playground, called me, whatever they called you, that you then adopted as, sort of a definition of self that's totally based on somebody else's fears. I mean, I generally find that to be the case. And it's trying to get back to almost a neutral palette. You know, it's trying to get back to rewiring our neurological grooves with more supportive and truthful statements. And it's really that simple. And there's nothing woo-woo about it. It's just, you have to change the paradigm. You have to change, there are extremes to this too. Like, everybody has a negative Nancy in their life, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean, this is a really good point, Ross. Like,
absolutely,
everybody has a Debbie Downer. Womp,
right.
womp.
I'm gonna put you on screen for this. There you
No,
go.
I mean, womp, womp. You know, like, there's the Kristen Wiig character, I think, or maybe not. That's not who she doesn't play that character. But on Saturday Night Live, there's that Debbie Downer. Womp, womp.
A bit of this.
Yes. So if you see, nobody wants to hang out with those people because we just say, oh, they're so annoying, or they're so blah, or whatever. But I'm just use that as the extreme version of who we often are on a daily basis at a less, at a lesser degree. But that's the stuff that needs to be rebooted. You have to reboot. You have to create a new neural groove. And, again, there's a lot of science that shows how you can do this. And especially in At Left Brain Turn Right, in my first book, I talk about 25 different ways where it's been proven that you can do that. Awesome. One of the ways is meditation. It's very simple, practical ways in order for us to reboot.
So, no, absolutely. And it only takes, I've looked at quite a lot of studies of this. There's a great guy that I do a lot of his work online, a guy called Evan Pagan. I don't know if you've heard of him. And he does something called, it's called habit gravity and escape velocity, basically. And it's kind of like these old beliefs and these old kind of neural grooves that you talk about, how we can form new ones. And it really only takes, studies have found it really only takes 21 to 30 days to be able to form a completely new habit, but the sad thing is a lot of people give up around about, it gets tough. People give up around about day 15, 16. It's like, if you just went on for another 5 days, you could have changed it all around, but you've been sucked back down. I also think the reason why it becomes very difficult right when we're about ready to have the breakthrough is because the breakthrough ushers in a whole new accountability of who we can become. And that's also very scary because people are so tethered to their thoughts about how bad they are or how untalented they are, that when we have to step out of it, you have to let go of that which you know. And to let go of that which you know and you've spent a lifetime being in support of is very, very scary, very scary. And it's almost like, you haven't really created the neural wiring that supports the new you. So you're sort of in this limbo land, or this like chasm between who you aren't, and who you want to be. But to step into who you want to be is really scary. Yes. So a lot of times people backslide into, and then again, it's this vicious circle. Then it confirms the parts of us that it's never going to happen for me. I'm a loser. I'm an asshole, whatever. Well, you have to be willing to take the leap. Yeah. Got to step out of the comfort zone.
Yeah. People do give up right before the miracle is about to occur. It's really kind of maddening sometimes.
There was a great picture I saw online the other day, and it was a cartoon character of a guy with a pickaxe mining for diamonds. And he's literally like a millimeter away from the seam, and he's walking away. It's like he's hacked all that way through, and he's just given up at the last second. Yeah. So if we have a look at this this slide that we've got here, can you see that again now? Can you see? You see my screen? Cool. Yeah. So it says we have 60 to 70. This is amazing to think about. 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 95% of thoughts we habitually think, are pretty bad. 80%. Are negative, we operate on autopilot. And that's something I found this at times in my life, if I've been hitting a bit of a slump and I've not had any auditions for a while, or I've not been booking any jobs for a while. And you say when something emotional occurs, that's the trigger normally. And you say,
of course,
when this happens, stop, drop and roll, stop the thought, drop the habit. Take us through that.
Well, I think that's pretty much it. Like your girlfriend breaks up with you, and then all of a sudden every major challenge in your life comes up, and you know what I mean? I'm trying to think. I just feel like this just happened the other day. I was talking to somebody off the ledge. Oh yeah, because I think her boyfriend is I'm not laughing about it because it's true, but like that then like put her into a tailspin about she can't get an agent. It starts a snowball effect of all these other things. And so I think, what is that word? Cataclysm.
Yes.
So we don't want to cataclysmize, when something happens, listen, a very Buddhist approach is everything is neutral in effect. It really is true. It's very, very difficult to get our heads around this because we are as human beings, we are so quick to judge good and or bad. So when something happens, we morally categorize that as, oh, that's bad. And then when something makes us kind of happy, we think that that's good. But actually, the science and I think a spiritual principle bears out that over time, the things that we thought led to a particular outcome often in the long term proved to have been just the opposite. So I think it's very difficult, I understand, but we have to try to be more neutral and not get triggered in our first response to something, which is, again, counterintuitive because in acting, all that I'm teaching is trying to get people triggered into their first emotive response because that's what we want in our acting. But this is also where my acting, the way that we work at our studios everywhere is really all about then having that awareness out in the world so we can start to not get so triggered out in the world so that we can live a more joyful life. So if we learn how to be, the next time, like on this slide here, it says, you stop the thought immediately, you got to drop the thought, just drop it. Stop telling yourself that you're a jerk. It's not truthful. And then you have to roll with another thought. Like maybe the only access you have to something is, well, okay, I may be a jerk, but I'm not the biggest jerk in the whole world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that simple. Or you go in and you think you tank an audition and you're like, I'm the worst actor ever. But then maybe a more accurate thought would be, okay, I'm not the worst actor ever who ever walked the planet. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's more accurate and it actually makes you feel better. It's truth. So it's that simple. These things are not hard. They're just, you have to apply them.
Exactly. So remember, stop, drop, roll. Okay. And then the last thing here, give yourself a kiss. What do you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. Well, keep it simple. I think the real acronym stands for keep it simple, stupid, but I don't want to support us telling ourselves negative things.
Yeah.
So, keep it simple, silly is what I call it. And, again, that just comes back to really a lot of what the book is about, or that chapter is, not trying to find complicated doom and gloom scenarios for, things that just are not the explanation for things. Just keep it simple. You don't hear from someone, you don't hear from them because it's not because of the reasons why you think.
Exactly.
You didn't get that audition not because you sucked. You didn't get that audition. Actually, here's a perfect point. I just talked to one of my students in London, no less. He's based here in LA, but he is in London and he put himself on tape for a new TV show. Okay. And he's really great. He's on a show here in LA right now. He's doing really well. And then he talked to the head of casting, I think, or something, and they were like, well, it's really good, but or the producer, I think, of it. And they said, well, we already have an offer out to somebody really famous. So he knows the producer, so the producer told him that. But see, most actors are in complete darkness about that process.
Yes, absolutely.
You go into an audition, you do really great, you don't hear anything, so then you immediately say, I suck, I must move back to Manchester and work at a grocery store. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you don't hear that they made an offer to Tom Hardy.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the thing that's maddening about it.
There's even been stuff that I've, because I help as a casting assistant sometimes with some casting directors here in the UK. And there's been times where we've been working on something and they've even penciled girls in for a job, a couple of girls in, and it looks like, one of them's going to get it. And then the exec producer at the last minute has gone, actually, no, we need a girl with black hair for this. These girls have got blonde hair. We don't want to dye anybody's hair or something like that. And then the girls will never hear, they'll be released from pencil, but they'll never get the true reason. And they think, I must have been as good. It's not the real reason.
Yeah, the intangibles. So I think you just have to kind of, moving on, next one, it's all working out for me. You just have to change the dialogue. Exactly.
Just looking at Twitter here, Sarah says, Sarah Wiley, good evening to you. I've not really said hello, everybody, by the way. All the people who are tweeting us. Hello, good evening. It's because we had a bit of a hang up initially before that. Yes, it all went a little bit crazy technology wise. But Sarah Wiley, hello to you. David Johnson, hello to you. Susan Hedges, Peter Evel Walsh from Barbados. He's been on his honeymoon. Michelle Marie. Lamont, Karen Allen, hello to you. All these people, thanks so much. Patricia Jones, great to have you on the broadcast again. Ben Hubbard, how do we say that? Arini?
Do they have questions, Ross? Do we want to take some questions, or?
So a lot of people are just kind of following so far, just
okay.
agreeing with what we say. So Sarah said, yeah, don't give up before the miracle, destiny, born to create. Hashtag born to create. There you go.
Nice.
David said he's feeling some vibes coming through here from laws of attraction. What I want to say to people, is, absolutely don't be shy. Tweet us your questions if you've got questions. And remember, I'm going to be going through this Casting Networks giveaway shortly. We're a little bit behind schedule because of what happened, but keep tweeting your questions. You can tweet as many times as you want. Every one is an entry into winning that Casting Network subscription for 12 months. So keep tweeting us, and we will draw one of those at random. We're going to move on to the last chapter that we're going to look at tonight. I say this is only 3 chapters we're looking at tonight of a book of 26 chapters. But let me share this with you guys as well. We're going to look at something that I'm fascinated in. I've done an awful lot of research into time management, productivity, all sorts of stuff about using your time better, because it's something that all of us generally, the one thing I hear so much, Anthony, is the phrase, don't have enough time. And I say, look, you've got exactly the same. One thing that kind of defines us all and is equal for all of us is the amount of time we've got. You've got Beyonce's got 24 hours in the day. Barack Obama's got 24 hours in the day. You've got 24 hours in the day. We live in a day in like a kind of society of scarcity. Everyone's, not got enough money, not got enough time, not got enough this. I didn't get enough sleep. And like we said before, when you focus on that, it's all you see. You just see the negatives. So time is a big one for me. I kind of like this sort of thing. You say time, it makes the world go round. But what if it were actually something that simply can't be found? So I've got a few points on this one as well. I shall just bring this slide up. Yeah, so tweet us again. Don't forget. How do you use your time? Or how do you think you could better manage your time? Remember, every tweet, get a little entry into the prize draw. So Tony, you say we rely on it, we keep track of it, we try to speed it up, slow it down, we race against it, we curse it. The worst thing is we waste it. But what if it wasn't real at all? Tell us a little bit about what you mean.
Well, I mean, this is, borrowing, again, spiritual philosophies and also actually the science of it. And I use both in the book. I'm really into science, and I really think it's a very exciting time because I find that a lot of the principles that have been handed down through great teachers over time are now bearing out, through science. And I think one of the things to me about time is, you just pulled up here, is about what Adam Frank talks about is, how shall I say this without opening a huge kind of conversation about it? Because my God, time is a huge conversation.
It's not small,
But let me say this thing about Adam Frank, that his work on time is, because this is so fascinating to me, that he basically talks about how when we are born, we have our memory cards are not full. Okay, so that means basically when we're little kids, and if you think about your own life, when I'm telling you this story, you're totally going to get it. So when I'm thinking about myself as an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old during the summertime, didn't it feel like time would last forever? And it was kind of actually really maddening, because as kids, we want the cookie, or we want whatever it is that we're wanting, we want it quickly. But it feels like time lasts forever, right? Yes. And then as you get older, it's like, what? Like, I'm already freaking out. It's already May. Like, it just seemed like it was December, right?
Definitely.
The science behind this that Adam Frank has shown is that, so when we're kids, our memory cards are not full, and our memory cards are basically just the imprints of emotional and actual memory experiences that we hold in our brain. And so as we get older, if you think of it like a data bank that you're dipping into, you have more and more experiences that are in the data bank. So you're pulling them up at a quicker rate. As children, we don't have so many experiences to pull from, so there's so much blank space. So that's why this illusion, it's an illusion that time is moving faster as we get older. It's not. We just are dipping into more and more collected experiences. Yeah. Because we've been living on the planet for a longer time.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's really, so there's science behind that, and that makes me very excited. But also, if you look at when, Abraham Maslow calls, Abraham Maslow is a very famous sociologist. and he talks about living in the zone. And science now calls it being in the flow, which is we've all had these experiences in our physical bodies in time, whilst at the same time, we transcend the physical body and we are in another space, whatever that is. So it could be you're running a marathon and all of a sudden you hit they call it in marathoning, the zone, right? And then all of a sudden you feel free. Or you're playing basketball and all of a sudden you just are hitting basket after basket after basket. Or you basically have these moments of timelessness. Or in acting, a lot of the principles that I teach is there's science to that, and we can have, how I teach is, that's part of our DNA. If we can get more present, you can have more and more of those experiences in your work where you feel like, what just happened? Because you're so in it, you're not cognizant of this is bad or this isn't working or this is stupid. You're just in it. So we've all had those experiences. So that has nothing to do with time. That has to do with the eternalness of the present moment that sits in time. So this is very complicated stuff, but it isn't in the sense that we've all had these moments where we feel like we have transcended time. So that's a lot of what I'm excited about the presence of the moment, is how do we work in a way, or how do we live our lives where, you know, a lot of people say, you know, the most precious thing you can give somebody is your time. No, it's not. That's not correct. The most precious thing you can give someone is your full presence. When you are fully present with someone, then you again transcend time. You are in the moment with somebody in such an integrated, seamless way. It's really the purpose of why we're here on the planet. And sadly, you know, I'm holding up my phone right now. Like, you know, we're so distracted by the cult of busyness, and we're so distracted by technology, thinking that, oh, you know, we've got life by the balls because I can text somebody and I can Tinder somebody and I can post my Instagram shot while I'm trying to have a conversation with you. No, you can't. You can't. And I'm not saying I don't do those things all at the same time. I also notice when I'm doing that, I'm splintering myself. And I just find that kind of erosion of ourselves in the moment is making us emotionally autistic. It's making us zombified
completely, absolutely. It's
sorry, that was a long kind of explanation for that all, but
no, but I get it. I mean,
it's a big, you know,
to cut it down. I mean, basically, what we said here on these slides is that effectively time was kind of a man-made kind of thing to really, which was initially brought about by religion, calendars so people could celebrate religious holidays. Then when the Industrial Revolution came in, we got 9 till 5. You know, people nowadays really have a complete disconnection with the now. You know, it says there, you know, we forget about now. We fixate on our future stuff. You know, we regret stuff in the past, and we constantly miss now. And right now, I mean, all we have, literally now, me and you, Anthony, is this. This is the only thing that we have right now.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and when those things in the future that we're worried about happen, it will be now. And when those things in the past happened, they were now. They weren't in the past. The stuff that's going to happen isn't in the future. And you say that time can't be grasped because it's impossible to hold on to something that's not even real. And it is. I mean,
I think that's the point. What is 8:30 p.m. London time on a Tuesday? We understand what that is from a cognitive place, but what is that really? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's abstract and arbitrary. Who decided to make a calendar? You know, well, I talk about that in the book. The calendars were created to serve a function for the cultures that were, you know, carving out how they wanted to carve out time. But it's totally abstract. It could be different, you know, the way that we look at a calendar or the time of day could, you know, and I talk about, you know, Native American cultures, or, you know, a lot of people who are connected to the earth in a different way don't see time the way that we see time. So
exactly. It says
it's
here,
a big topic.
On this slide here, it's you know, it says little fact here, you know, ancient Australian Aborigines had no contextual understanding of time. They lived in what they call the ever present or every when. And I think people could just do a lot better for themselves. Yeah. You know, a lot better for themselves if they just actually went, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy now. Because there's been this year a friend of mine who, I've mentioned this a couple of times, but a friend of mine is pretty ill. He's got a brain tumor, and he's not been told. Well, he's not told us really, kind of like, you know, how long the doctors have forecast, you know, that they'll live for. And I've seen him over the last year. He's an incredible guy, such an inspirational guy, but I've seen him kind of do the things. He got this bucket list together and he's done these things that has got, you know, raised so much money for people. He's been all around the world. He's done all this stuff, and he's lived more, you know, than most people will ever live in their life completely, because he's grabbed now right by the balls and gone, right, I don't have the luxury of 60 years to, you know, to do this. So I'm just going to do all the things that I want to do now. And luckily, thank God, he got a scan the other day and he's got, you know, it's kind of in remission. It looks like actually, you know, he's beaten it. But it's a bit bittersweet, because it's like, if we need that awareness and we need that kind of kick up the backside sometimes. It's a bit like when you step out in the road and almost get hit by a car. It's like, oh my God, that could have been it.
Well, I mean, I think, again, there's a lot of evidence that shows that we become very, very present to the moment when we are confronting our own mortality. And I think the argument is it shouldn't take tragedy to wake us up. And it's sad, because that's part of the inherent dysfunction of being human, is that when we start to deal with things in what we quantify as finiteness, then we start to wake up to, oh, I have a limited amount of whatever that thing is. But it doesn't, I think it's about, again, it's about awareness, and it's about breathing. It's about a choice to become more here and not letting, you know, an accident wake us up to the moment. Yes,
exactly. It's about getting that awareness and using the willpower that we get so little of every day, kind of, you know, in a positive way. A lot of people use that willpower to kind of reject things, or go, oh, I won't do that because that would be, you know, that might hurt me, or that might not work out, or that might lose me money. It's like, actually, you know what, just do it, because you've only got now, you know, you might not have, you know, another 50 years or whatever to do it. So just appreciate now more, I guess.
Yeah,
which is awesome. And so that kind of wraps up the time chapter that we were going to look at. Like I say, guys, that's only, I mean, you know, we don't slightly ironic, we don't have the luxury of time.
I know, time.
It's, yes. To go through any more of those. But if you like what we've discussed tonight and what we've heard, just get Anthony's book. It's you'll find a link for the UK people on the broadcast underneath this broadcast video, or if you're watching the replay, it'll be on this page as well. You can click through and you get it from Amazon. It's less than 10 quid over here in the UK. In the States, I'm sure it'll be a similar price. Or, I mean, Anthony, this is dedication for you. I bought it paperback, then I bought the Kindle, then I bought the audio.
Oh, cool. Oh, God, you're like a stalker. I love it.
Well, I thought I better know what I'm talking about if I'm going to have you on. So,
you do. You can also, you know, support your local bookstores. I know Sam French carries right there in London.
Yeah,
carries both of my books, and you know, I always love supporting local bookstores when we can.
Definitely, but yeah, check it out. And also, I need to get your first book. You can just give us a quick 30-second sell on that. What does that have in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's called At Left, Brain Turn Right, and it's been a best-selling book on Amazon. And I think it's really, I don't know, it's a very exciting book, and I think people are really inspired by the message. And it's not just an acting book; it's really like it's a more extensive explanation of a lot of these things that we're talking about in the second book.
So awesome! I will check it out. So I want to move on. Keep tweeting us, guys. People have said. So Lamont says, yeah, you know, he always wondered why it seemed like time was moving faster.
Faster, yeah.
Julie says, definitely, you know, have to constantly step out of the fear, you know, and this I'm running out of time thing. Nothing gets done in that kind of state. You know, Michelle asks here, you know, is it's quite interesting. Is there ever a point where you should realize you've set your expectations and bar too high? What do you think about that? I don't think you can set anything too high, can you?
Well, I think you should have zero expectations. I think that's the only way to get through life. I mean, because that's the whole point about expectations. You're constantly setting yourself up for some sort of failure, because the expectation of something is never going to be the actual reality. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I blogged on YouTube. If you go to my YouTube page, it's www.youtube.com/Anthony Meindl. We post every Monday morning here in LA, my videos, but I do one about Tony Hale, and Tony Hale got his big break on Arrested Development. Now he's on Veep with Julia. Oh my God. What's Julia Dreyfus? Wait, is that who it is? Anyway, yeah. So, but he talks about how he had so many expectations about that Arrested Development job, and it was disappointing to him, which sounds kind of crazy because Arrested Development was such a great show. But if you watch that blog, you'll see kind of what I talk about with expectations. I think you should have none. Just have none, and then life is so much more fun and surprising and joyful than you could imagine. That doesn't mean you don't have goals. That doesn't mean you don't strive for things and keep moving forward, but you can't, expectations is a zero-sum game, because it's never going to work out how you think it's going to work out anyway.
No, exactly. So
it just never does. It just never does.
It's it can end up better than you imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely. It's let's just check out that. I want to talk about your workshops that you're doing. Obviously, I had this through before. Tina Harris sent me this, Anthony. She says,
yes,
this will be my 4th intensive, and I do classes with this is in the London workshop that you guys have. So she does classes every Monday. She says, but every time I do an intensive, I book a job within the next 2 weeks just by hearing his voice in my head. He goes, his work is brilliant and he can get results so quickly. Tell us about your workshops. And you're coming to London in June.
Yeah, I'm coming to London in June again. Actually, see if I can pull up the flyer here. But
I'll get it for you.
I'm coming.
I've got it.
Oh, you have it. June 30th, I'm coming. And I think it's probably close to being sold out already. It may be sold out. You should email Barbara and find out, or tweet us and we'll get you information about it. But you can always come and observe. It's June 30th, June 27th and 28th. And then I'm teaching at our ongoing classes there. It is a really special, inspiring, the work is just really exciting. And it's true. People have huge lightning bulbs about their work and about acting in ways that I've never, I don't think actors often have that quickly. So I appreciate that shout out from Tina. And I feel like it's just about empowering the actor, and you start to feel like, of course I can do this, and of course this is possible for me. So that's what I'm about. And like I said, just come and sit in. Worst case scenario, you're just going to have a great time. You're going to learn a lot, and it just does not roll like any other kind of acting class, I don't think. And then we have ongoing classes there every week. You can also sit in on all of our teachers. Most of our teachers there are all Americans, and I think it's very exciting because it's an American approach to the work for the Brits. We have one really great British teacher as well, and a couple others in training. But it's the same thing that we're doing here at the studio here in LA, but obviously in London.
It just seems that your approach to stuff, a lot of practitioners who I've worked with, and when I was at drama school here in the UK, and we get guest directors in and stuff, and they just seem to there's an awful lot. In fact, there's a question actually someone sent in. I want to ask you about this as well. But there's an awful lot of kind of fluff and a lot of this whole emotional memory, like you say, like mask work, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. I just go, just for me, it's just not. It complicates it. It just puts barriers between myself and the work. And I think it is a lot simpler than that. And some of the things we talked about tonight, as well as other things in the book, like I say, it's not just about kind of helping you in life, but in your acting career, it will help you in life as well. But it's all that sort of stuff, that the barriers that we put up just as human beings, not as actors. Forget the actor in the equation. It's just the stuff as human beings in our minds that gets in the way. And I think if you do concentrate on yourself first and improving yourself, and like you say, getting over your nerves, stop doubting yourself, feel empowered, stop resisting. Start listening. It just makes the whole job a lot easier. You don't necessarily need to go into all these techniques and all this kind of stuff that scares people. They hear Stanislavski or Meisner or something like that, and they go, "Oh God, I don't understand it. It's so complicated." It doesn't need to be that complicated, does it?
I don't think it is. Well, it doesn't need to be, because it's not. That's the great breakthrough right there, is that I think some people are just so invested in talking about it in such a cognitive, cerebral, complicated way, because that's what they're invested in. I'm not invested in that. I'm interested in getting people to break through very quickly and realize, every single one of you can be a great actor because you're a human being. And the last time I looked, the common denominator is we're all human. So you have already all the goods that you need to be an actor. You felt joy and love and hope and desire and pain and tragedy and excitement and inspiration. We all have it. And so to me, the thing about technique is all about being emotionally available. That's it. And generally, the more present we become, the more emotionally available we are. And so you just have to be working a methodology that's getting you to get present. And I don't think that's hard. That's not cognitive. We all have moments where we've been talking about this all night, where you get present. Somebody, spills coffee on you at the Starbucks accidentally and doesn't say anything to apologize. You get present to that moment. You might want to say, "Yeah," you know what I mean? That's all acting is getting present to the moment and then reacting. So it's just listening and talking. It's not that hard, people. You can do it.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
No, it's not. Oh,
it's
so
awesome.
boring. It's just so boring. Anyway,
it is. No, it really is. It can just zap all the fun out of it. You know,
no,
it's
my
just,
God, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah,
just suddenly,
you know what?
fun anymore.
The best way to look at acting is through the prism of children. Children just play. They just commit. They play. They commit and they play. So, and they're very present to what they're engaged in. So those same rules apply for adults. We just lose that sense of play because we become so self-conscious.
Exactly, definitely. It is when you're a kid, you don't care. You're just like, right, I'm in the army. I'm gonna run around here, or right, we're playing this, or I'm in the jungle, or wherever you are.
Yeah, that's totally it. Yeah.
It's amazing. Right, I'm going to give people just 2 minutes to tweet us whilst I go through some questions that we just had submitted. Then we're going to do the Casting Networks draw. Then, Anthony, I'm going to let you go about your day.
Russ, I will, speaking of time, I am, because of our little technical glitch, I do have to run out in a minute. But
yeah, we're going to go super fast. But yeah, just tweet us the last little thing so you get in the draw, guys. And then this is just questions about your workshop, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So Peter has said he knows you're holding a 2-day intensive workshop in June that we just talked about. He's London-based. He says, is there a way, you already kind of mentioned this, to attend one of your regular sessions prior to see how they work? Now, you do auditing, so people can come down and test. If people want to do that in London before the workshop, how do they go about that?
I mean, we have classes every week. There's oh my God, there's so many classes at our London studio, Monday night, all through the week. But you just have to email Shelly at anthonymeindl.com, and she'll set up a time when you can come and observe. It's Shelley at anthonymeindl.com. I'm sure Ross has the info, or just
I'll
hit
put
me
it
up
on the
Twitter.
blog post. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Or hit me up on Twitter, and we'll reach out to you and get you the info. And you're going to have a great time. It's very inspiring. It's really inspiring.
Awesome. So there you go, guys. So yeah, you can go and you can try before you buy. You can't ask them more than that, can you?
Or Russ, they can also just go directly to our website, www.anthonymeindl.com, and then hit the London button, because we have schools in 5 cities in the world. So just hit the London button, and then it will tell you how to set a spot to observe. You can do it that way too.
Awesome. Great stuff. So I'm just going to very quickly, just to give the guys at Casting Networks a little shout out, just show you guys how Casting Networks work very, very quickly before we do the draw and we let you go, Anthony. So Casting Networks, like I say, guys, for those in the UK, is a similar service to Spotlight. It's becoming more and more popular, particularly in commercial castings. I was at commercial casting today that was using this. Every commercial casting I practically go to uses Casting Networks. You should be able to see my profile on the screen right now. The thing that kind of sets it apart from Spotlight and a lot of other casting services is the control of your CV on your on your profile that you have, and your CV follows the entire process from the minute your agent submits you for a job all the way through to the way that the casting is taped. It's taped through Casting Network's own software that the casting director uses, so that when the director gets your tape, they've not only got your tape, but they've got your profile as well. A few neat things about the profile: you can upload obviously like normal, just your voice reel and your show reel as you can, as many photographs as you want. I need to add some more pictures to this, but you can add next to your credits just individual clips, which is really cool. So say for instance you've been put forward for a doctor or something like that, and the director gets your tape, goes, oh, actually I just want to see what else he's done. Rather than having to go through your whole show reel and find the clip that's appropriate, you can actually just go, right, okay, well I noticed there, Emmerdale, there you go, Ross played someone called Hunter. You can click play next to that, and then it will bring up a clip. Well, it should do if my internet connection works. It'll bring up a clip just of me playing that particular part, which is awesome. You can also attach clips as well of your skills. So say for instance you just go, well, I'm really good at skateboarding, or I'm really good I don't know, juggling, or whatever it is. You can just upload videos of your skills. So if you get submitted by your agent for a particular job, rather than your agent then having to get in touch with you and go, oh well, the director wants to see you doing this, just send them a video and it's all on your profile. So it's free to join Casting Networks. So everyone get over to castingnetworks.co.uk to join. Or if you're elsewhere in the world, the Casting Networks are generally all over the place, all over America as well, Australia, India, even Bollywood, all over. You can do that, but it's a premium service if you want to upload as many photographs and all this media. It's normally in the UK around about £100 a year, but we're going to give away tonight it completely free for 1 year. So we're going to do that draw now, Anthony. And anyone else who's in the world, wherever you're at, if they've got Casting Networks and I draw you out now, we will sort it out so that you get a Casting Networks profile in your country. So the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to get my phone up, Anthony, and I'm just going to scroll down the Twitter feed. Okay. You're going to tell me to stop. And then whoever I land on wins the prize. So
ready?
Let me
do drum roll. Drum roll.
Oh yeah, I've got a drum roll. Right. Well, we'll type this up. So look, just come on iPhone, load my Twitter up. Am I in the right account? Yes, I am. So there we go. Oh, people are saying they're so inspired, Anthony, already, which is nice. Well, give you a little round of applause for that. Right. Okay. So I'm going to start scrolling through. Drum roll. Okay. You just say stop whenever you want. Stop. Michelle Marie.
Yes.
Let's have a look. Michelle is in. I think Michelle's in Louisiana. Michelle, look. If we have got round of applause for you. If we have Louisiana, nice. If we've got casting networks where you are, you're going to get a 3-year subscription to that. Thanks so much. She's on a lot of our broadcasts and it takes.
It's about time an American won something because all of you Brits are taking over the jobs.
Exactly.
So good for you, Michelle.
Well done, Michelle. I will direct message you on Twitter and we'll sort that out. Anthony, we've got there. We made it in the end. You know, we did it. We did it. It was quite tough, but thanks so much for for spending your time and going through that tonight. A lot of people have got a lot out of that, and guys, I really hope you will, go out and buy. He's not paying me, by the way. Go out and buy the book. I have absolutely no affiliation. I make no money out of this whatsoever. But yeah, go out and get the book and just work on yourself. A lot of people here. Selena says, "Give fear the finger." Love it. Yes. Patricia says, "All about being present." Michelle says, "Makes sense. I've forgotten about keeping my plate empty and letting the present fill it." Amazing. Let the present fill you up. Consciously step out of the fear and just, like you say in the front of the book, get over yourself. Just get over yourself. Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Anthony,
thanks for having me.
Coming on.
And hopefully you guys can keep me abreast of things. You can hit me up on Twitter, and hopefully I'll meet you when I'm over there in London next month. Yeah, definitely. No, I will definitely come down and see, check you guys out and see what's going on. The workshop sounds awesome. I think I get a lot out of it. So I look forward to meeting you in person, not just virtually like this. Yes. So what have you got planned for the rest of the day? What are you doing? I have a meeting right now, and then I have to teach tonight. So I'm off. More broadcasts soon. Check us out at sunday.tv. Okay. Good evening. Thanks, Ross. Bye for now. Pleasure. Okay, bye-bye.